all you lovely computer people, and welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today we're looking at this lovely specimen. Now, I've wanted to get one of these on one of these videos ever since I started doing these videos, but in the last few seasons, they're always sold out when I go to buy one. They are popular as hell. Now, what is this plant, you ask? Because a bunch of you are probably going, what are you talking about? That's just like a Rudbeckia. You could not be more wrong. Sort of. This is a Rudbeckia X Echinacea. Specific variety, Summerina Summerina Sizzling Sunset. Which just, okay. They're all Summerina something or other. And again, way back in the day, they only had 3 colors, but now they have variations of those colors, so you have more options. Now, this is in the Asteraceae family, which means it is a daisy. The name Rudbeckia is named for Olaf Rudbeck the Younger, whereas Echinacea comes from the Greek word echinos, which means hedgehog or hedgehog, port Pam, hedgehog or spiny thing, depending on who you ask. I've seen both as an explanation. Technically a hedgehog is a spiny thing, but whatever. Now, this is a man-made cross, so it isn't actually native to anywhere. Somewhere decided to play some Barry White music, maybe a little Rod Stewart, broke out fine-tipped brushes and moved pollen around in a, ooh yeah, kind of way, I guess. And suddenly, the seeds produced the first one of these. Now, I can't remember if they're sterile or not. The original ones mostly were, so you'd have to do cuttings, but probably now not so much. It's a perennial in USDA Zone 7 through 9, which gives it a narrow band through the United States. Not the best range I've ever heard of, but then again, this plant is meant to demonstrate the best parts of its parent, which it does with surprising affinity. Its soil pH preference is 6 to 8.0, and that's based on a consensus of sources. It may or may not be the most accurate statement, but yeah. It prefers a soil that is enriched with organic matter, but drains very well. And I should point out that this plant is a heavy feeder and needs extra fertilizer during the growing season to do its absolute best. Deadheading is something you should do to prevent it from trying to make seeds, unless, of course, you're attempting to save seed. Now, its exposure is full sun to partial, and out in the test gardens, I found that it's not a plant that will do well in the neglect gardens, because, in fact, the original plantings of this that I got a decade or so ago did not make it. There were no seedlings. They didn't even make it past 1 year. So this is one of those plants you want to have on what I call the hose path line, which is basically in your garden. You plant it somewhere where you will obviously remember to give it irrigation. Otherwise, you might not have a plant for very long, and that's the downside. Its height can be 1.5 feet to 2 feet, and its width can be 1 foot 3 inches to 1.5 inches, or 1 foot 6 inches. It doesn't have any AKA because it's generally just known as Echibeckia. Because, oh my god, Echibeckia, look at her daisies. I'm just saying, Echibeckia sounds fun. In fact, the mispronunciations that happened when I was asking about Echibeckia at the garden center, I was like, you got Echibeckia? And they're like, we're looking for Echibeckia? Oh my god, it's fun stuff. Now, this plant is popular as heck. Whenever they're in sale, you either get them while they're available. You get them while they're there, or you get nothing. And by the time I got to this magical nursery, there were only 5 left. And these things were going for about $15 a pop, which I consider a small price to pay for something so interesting. I mean, look at the color. Look at the color. It's like a combination of coneflower in the shape of the center of the cone, and then the unique rusty yellowy orange flowers. I mean, they just don't look like anything else. But interestingly, it has the fuzzy hairy leaves like Rudbeckia hirta. That's the black-eyed Susan with the fuzzy leaves. Or like the Rudbeckia that is commonly called goldstern. You know, it's like that too, but the leaf shape is more coneflower, because coneflower usually has the rigid hairs, whereas Rudbeckia tends to be softer, so it's got the best of both worlds, which means this plant isn't really messed around with anything. The only thing you have to worry about is if it's excessively wet, which could cause root or stem rot. In the test gardens, as far as I could tell, it did fine by itself. I just couldn't irrigate it enough, and our sandy soils are a problem there. Henceforth, my recommendation of high organic matter wherever you plant it. Some black cow would do amazing things for the soil around this plant. But anyway, last thing I would need to mention is that Echibeckia, last I checked, is still what's considered a short-lived perennial. So you're going to get a few years out of it, and then it's going to peter out, and you have to replace it. Sort of like sage, white sage. Well, I mean, that's still sage. And a few other things that we love, but... So keep that in mind. It is an investment for the pollinators. And that is basically all I have for you when it comes to Echibeckia. Now, if you have any thoughts on Echibeckia, please put them in the comments section. If you like this episode, please hit like. I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe too if you haven't already. The blog is still producing content. And as always, folks, thanks for watching and keep them growing.